Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Friday. The weekend. Well, if you're still at work, then I suppose the weekend hasn't quite started yet, but it's just around the corner. So you made it. And today is March 15th, about smack dab in the middle of the month. And it's funny because yesterday my son had asked me when was spring. And at first I was like, oh, it's not for another couple weeks. And then I thought about it like, hold up. Actually, this is less than a week. The spring equinox is the 19th. And I got snapped back into reality that I know I've been talking about the seasons changing and there even being like an accelerated shift. But the reality of it is that spring is definitely around the corner. And that is wild to me. It really just is. I don't know about you, but I just love being astounded by life. I never get tired of it. All right, so let's see what we got here today. Excuse the oil from my hands. Ooh, celebration. 3 of Cups. Maybe congratulations in order. Reunion, congregation of sorts. For, we hope, of course, we want to keep it high for the moment, but we hope for some high vibrational occasion. Yeah. I feel, let me just see what's on the bottom there. Oh gosh. And what's funny is that I was like hearing the power of 3 in my head, which can be, you know, a mystical or cultic term. And then here we have the damn devil. Like, so it could be 3 witch bitches. Let's just call it what it is. Could be a celebration too soon, though, or a celebration out of order. Let's just see. I was just trying to feel the vibes. There's some I'm gonna take this out because I want to see where we're going with this. Just keep in mind the devil was lurking in the background. Because it could be a celebration of overcoming demonic forces. Could be that. Or it could be celebrating with demonic forces, or celebrating something about this partnership here, maybe celebrating some demise of, I don't know. Let's just see. Let's just see what we got, okay? Here we go. Reverse. Let's see what we got. Ooh. This came up, was it yesterday or the day before? I think it was the day before yesterday, in that message about the Mad Madam and Jimmy Henchman. So in that case, it could be celebration that of that couple's binding. In that message, this was the energy of the masculine, particularly, that didn't disconnect himself from that association in a timely fashion, and so therefore he more or less became, an accomplice to it, to the karma of it, projectively and receptively. So it's definitely somebody that doesn't, let's see, that either is stuck. Yeah, that's what that is. And with the devil card, that speaks to that. So this could be the other half of that dynamic duo that's celebrating, because he became more or less like the offering unto that demonic entity. I guess maybe celebrating that part of the contract. This is interesting. I wonder if this one, is this like a part 2, or are we going deeper, or what's up? I really don't want to be honest. I'd like to leave that right where it was, but let's see. By the end of that message, the devil card popped out as well, like the very end, because for her, it was some type of power trip or power struggle. Like, it mattered to her to be able to be a dominating force in whatever this contractual agreement was. She either had something to prove, or she had something to pay to the demonic entity that she was pledged to. And the payment seemed to be that masculine energy. But the thing about it is, which, I settled on, is that they both were bound, but maybe she don't mind being so bound to some extent, because she'll just keep feeding sacrifices. But I feel like it's something more. What I felt in that message, and even from this, like I said in the beginning, it's like celebrating too soon. It's like just when you thought you paid your debt, add tax, or here comes the bill for the interest or whatever, so it's never ending, hence the binding, because you're never going to be free as long as you're in submission to this force. Maybe somebody doesn't mind that, but I also get the sense that the making good on that contract is going to become increasingly more difficult. This might have been the biggest sacrifice that she's going to ever be able to make moving forward, because let's just face it, the stakes are becoming higher in terms of even what the demands of the darkness expect. They don't even want low-hanging fruit anymore. They don't want just any old run-of-the-mill type of energy from any old bloodline. It needs to be something of substance, something worth sacrificing, something worth devouring, even for the darkness. It's like they want premium produce now. They want organic, grass-fed beef, and it's coming to a point now. Like I said, this might have been the last quality offering that one has been able to acquire. And there may be a celebration at this point, however, because they were able to entrap an energy that perhaps would have been high vibrational or was, but allowed themselves to be entrapped, to be tricked and seduced, more or less. But that it's getting harder to do that. So it'll come down to either having to settle for some low-hanging fruit of a lesser quality, which won't be satisfying to that force, which means you'll have to put yourself in harm's way more and more to satisfy that force, or else yourself become food, be devoured. And there lies the conflict, because the more harm you could probably pull a long con for a high quality or high valued lick, and it'd be satisfying, but now not having that same access or capability, even having to have a power of 3 in the first place, to have to now incorporate other energies in the collusion is a risk, and then having to do more for less is a risk, and still not satisfying, being able to satisfy that hunger is a risk. So eventually it just comes down to being caught, or putting yourself in a position for retaliation, maybe even street justice is what I'm hearing. I'm just channeling right now. Spiritual justice and street justice, whichever one, may be both, because the more people you got to finesse, or the gloves are going to have to come off in a very nasty way for people to continue in the vein that they're now bound to, because that's the key here, is that devil wants what that devil wants, no matter what. But it's harder to come by because the cloaks are off, and people are watching for the witchery. They're protecting themselves, they're watching out for it, they're sensitive to it. Even authorities are more sensitive to things that are just, mystical and, to the mayhem, pretty much, than they probably even want to be. But you kind of have to be, because some things don't even make natural sense anymore. So there has to be an alternative explanation and understanding of what's really going on out in these streets, why people are more or less like losing their minds and their touch with reality. So, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, it's like, can you fill this cup? And what I'm sensing is, I don't know if I should be going this way, but I'm going to go and we'll see if it turns. But what I'm really feeling is like this is an overflow of tears that are being toasted to, perhaps being toasted in those cups. But as I said, it's like an insatiable thirst, because no matter how many times the ritual commences, it'll never be enough to satisfy the force. Never. This is an insatiable thirst, which means that there's going to need to be a never-ending sacrifice. And at that rate, you'll most certainly expire before you can fill that tall order, because one way or another you're going to be cut short, even if you were to end up being caught and having to answer to the justice of the land, the debt doesn't stop there. That bill follows you right on in to captivity. And it's even worse in that regard because you're already imprisoned and now you're spiritually imprisoned as well. It's like, who knows what you'll have to do to satisfy that hunger in places where the repercussions are far more grave. High Priestess. What's on the other side of the High Priestess? Let's go back. What's here and then what's here? Somebody couldn't walk away from the scheme, the plots, the plans, so that checks out. What's the presence of the High Priestess about? That's secrets. That's, I mean, maybe somebody. Let me see. I mean, am I tripping? Because I feel what I feel, even though these cards. This speaks to what I was saying about like almost having to pledge yourself to the darkness. And this is the level of, this is the quality of sacrifice that would be the standard, I guess, to maintain this position. This isn't giving me like pure High Priestess. What's standing out to me more is this pillar. That's what's glaring, this dark pillar. Like somebody is far more tipped in the scale of darkness than they ever were in the light, if they, you know, if they even had a desire to be, but certainly now. And this is the this high value man would be the ideal sacrifice. But like I said, coming by that, let me get one between these two, is the challenge. What's between the High Priestess and the King of Pentacles? Yeah. My nose is itching like crazy. Powerful and rich and powerful men is the target, are the targets. Or maybe one and the same. Or this is the three. Nine of Swords. It feels like it is that's the energy that, you know, that is left behind in her wake. Let me get one more over here. Leaving men distressed and in despair. Well, that's that on that. Ace of Swords. I'm still a bit perplexed, not gonna lie. It's still not quite clicking for me. Maybe I need to go back to go forward. Let me get another 1-2 over here. Oh, but look what this is on the bottom, on the floor, upturned. Ooh, 5 of Swords. This was the energy of her. This is exactly the order of the cards where she felt like she had a victory over her conquest or over her marks, but she was marching right into the devil, pretty much. I don't even know. I guess I should put this up here because she feels like she's won, overpowered her target. But here is that bottomless debt right here with the devil card. Like, that ain't going nowhere no time soon. It'll be here well after she is. So what's the point though? Like, all right, let's just keep going down here and see what else we got. Oh, I forgot about this. So this is the 5 of Swords in reverse. It was on the floor like that. I mean, upright is horrible enough, winning at all costs. Just deceptive objectives, you know, to defeat others just to come out on top. What would it be in reverse? I feel like in the upright, it's more so the mindset of those types of ambitions. But in reverse, it's absolutely the energy and the action. And also something about hold on. something about, oh, maybe that's what it is. Like her cover being blown. So this is which would make sense with the Ace of Swords here. So this is the glamour of how she captivates her targets by presenting herself as some type of high priestess or someone that has magical, mystical abilities, that may even be religious. It could be that as well. Or has some type of high ethical standards or morals about herself. It feels more so like the allure of her mysticism, or the mystery of her. But this in reverse is like really uncovering, because I feel like upright, it's almost like a sneak attack, where it's somebody that throws a rock and hides their hands. Like, where'd that come from? Like, why is all this happening? So these men with that Nine of Swords, maybe that's why it's so hard to get to the bottom of, because of how good she is at concealing her identity, or deflecting her guilt in some way, shape, or form. It's like whole time she's casting spells and speaking incantations and doing rituals under the moonlight, and making sacrifices, and by night and by day she's like the Holy Mother, like the born again virgin or some shit. I don't know, but that's how she allures her targets to almost feel like they're getting something sacred or supreme, or speaking of virgin, like something that everybody doesn't have access to. There it is. Yeah, some projection of sacredness here, like, oh, they feel almost privileged to be in her presence, or did, because I feel like with this in reverse, it's like now her cover has been blown, and her true identity has been revealed as to what type of time she's like people that have, that's where the Nine of Swords is coming in, because people are now playing back how they became entangled with her. Like they're pinpointing the very first time, they engaged her energy, and considering probably the red flags that they saw a mile away with the Two of Wands, but how they ignored it, they stayed in, they stayed connected anyway, and were seduced and enamored. And this is the drunkenness here, like just having a good old time off of maybe what they thought was holy water, but it turned out to be blood, like quite gravely so, or something, some type of tainted substance, because she could be like a poisonous, something tainted in those cups. One of those, females to slip something in your drink, or to be slipping. Ooh, and I said blood. So that was doing all tight. Oh man, that's how it was almost creating like an obsession with her energy, because she was slipping her essence, maybe even others' essence as well. I said blood for a reason. She was slipping something that would create a possessive effect into their drinks, distorting their reality, distorting their passions, while she siphoned their energy. Wow. And that's how she was able to overcome, because these are people that didn't walk away. They'd had one drink too many of her energy, if nothing else. If it's not as If it's not as diabolical, which I think it is, as what I'm saying, then it's somebody that, or individuals that stayed in her presence way too long, when they had the writing on the wall and the red flags to know that this was things was probably going wrong in their lives, on account, like they could pinpoint, trace back, like as soon as I met this girl, everything was going wrong. But before, up until that point of revelation, they were so seduced and maybe actually intoxicated with whatever she glamours with, that they couldn't realize the connection. They couldn't bridge that connection. They just knew at some point that things were going wrong, but then they would dilute that emotion or numb those senses with a good time. And, like I said, feeling like you're in the presence of a goddess, and she's taking you on this trip to your ultimate reality, and drink this, and it was supposed to be maybe like a psychedelic, but it was something a little bit extra in that cup. Literally have you out of your mind and out of touch with reality, and to the point where when you realize it's too late, as in the Nine of Swords, you've lost yourself and everything else. And whomever it is that is the culprit is riding off into the sunset with everything. Your good sense, your character, your truth, the spirit, the essence of you, because your spirit is depleted, maybe actually your resources, your material wealth. Like, woof, this is beyond a femme fatale. This is like, what is this? I can't even say Jezebel, because I feel like that's not even, it's some other. And you know what? Because sometimes I see this sometimes I see this Six of Wands as a feminine. Most times I do. But the reality is, in the deck, by definition, it's a masculine. Now, it's the aesthetics are pretty ambiguous. You could probably draw from whichever. However, the truth remains is that this is a man. So there's some energy on that. That it could either be someone, and that could be a way that she holds energy over her marks' heads, because she is really he. And whether they know it, maybe they don't know it, or whether they just don't want anybody else to know it, it all works the same. It's the same level of magic. The guilt, the shame, the dishonor, the disgrace. To assassinate someone's character. Maybe even blackmail, and this could be the unveiling, like, yo, if someone didn't know, but I just feel like, how could you not know eventually, especially if there's any level of intimacy, or this is wild, this might just be sideline, but remember I said the born again virgin, right? So she could be cloaking herself as this divine feminine who abstains and is not, down for the get down a certain type of way, but there's something distorted about it. Like, just rock with me for a second on this, because it's weird anyway, so we might as well go here while I'm feeling it. I'm channeling it, so I'm gonna say it. It could be somebody that she won't let you penetrate her, right? Because she's supposed to be sacred in that way, but she still somehow is a gateway for other debauchery, or some type of like, it's weird. It's really a mind fuck. And that's why maybe the men feel like they've kind of hit a jackpot, because she presents herself to be this mysterious, mystical creature, maiden of sorts, but somehow she's like the plug for the underworld as well. But lo and behold, she's not willing to be penetrated. And maybe even to give you a little, a little head, a little something, something, and then you really feel like, oh my God, like I got this, this devout woman of God to bless me with some top. So sloppy time. Oh, this is going off the rails. And that is a mind fuck too, because like I said, there's some way that she's making you feel like there's a disarming here, but still like where you feel safe, you feel secure to be yourself, even though you're so-called in the presence of like divinity or someone sacred. And she's holding that down by not letting you penetrate, but also holding space for you to kind of just live in your lower nature guiltlessly, allegedly, right? To just be yourself, be free, do as you feel. She's holding a space for that. So people are disarmed to be in that presence, because most people want to feel that way. They want to feel free to just be their lowest and their highest all at once, without being judged, without having to explore why you would want to tap into the lowest exclusively or with imbalance, or all those things. There's something here about that's real strange. And then, like I said, lo and behold, it may be that she just didn't want it to be revealed that she got a wand down there. But there's enough of a boundary crossed, even if whether it's one to another, or if it's even by just the sheer fact that because she's such a trusted presence, she's privy to much more debauchery and much more of people's darkest, deepest secrets, because of course she held the space for it to flourish, right? And now she becomes the key holder for disgrace. So she could either use it to siphon energy on the back end, which once upon a time was like this, where people didn't even know how they were being destroyed and sabotaged and, this and that, to maybe then the switch off becomes more of an upfront offense where it's like, well, I know everything about you, but here's something you don't know about me. Or maybe they just don't know enough about her for it to matter. But either way, she got all the tape. She got all the tape. And she could use it to extort, to manipulate, or just to make moves. And again, what does that do but feeds into this layer, this pipeline of sacrificial lambs that just get drawn to the slaughter every single time. But I feel like like I said, this is exposure here in some way. It's not as concealed. It's not like a hidden enemy anymore. Now the word might be getting out that this is what she's all about. So it's like her reputation is preceding her, whether it be as twisted as what I said about the true nature of her nature, or if it's just the diabolical nature of her ambitions. And people are like, not as open to the kill anymore. So therefore, she doesn't have as much livestock as she once did before to feed to this debt. So the celebrations are drying up ultimately, or will be. Let me have one in between these. It's all backfiring now. It's either the angry mob coming back to collect, because now they're clear on where the point of infraction was, or the point that like they're where their enemy, it's like getting the coordinates on your enemy and then going full out to attack. That's what this is. Like, oh, word? That's where this was coming from the whole time? Okay. And launching a like complete like no holds barred. And I mean, it's angry and it's aggressive here with this Knight of Swords. And it's tactical to some extent too, because it's sword energy. So it's like, whereas with the Knight of Wands, it may be a little bit impulsive, or, you know, kind of like fly off the deep end, just completely incited by rage and anger. It's a little bit of that. It's definitely anger and rage, but it's also strategy. And that may be the reason why I'm saying like they're celebrating, but they don't even realize what's coming back toward them, because they feel like it may be the case of, especially if it's a matter of, oh, they're not going to say nothing because they don't want to be exposed. Maybe some people are more angry than they are prideful at this time, to want to avenge their losses more than they want to conceal them anymore. That's probably what wasn't planned for. And so there's some tactical measures that are being taken here to assault the enemy. So that's, and again, I kind of said that too. I said, because of the, you know, it's all just crumbling in on itself, because now you have these people that are on your head, enemies at every turn. You are putting yourself, you're already in debt over here, which is not going away, and you're putting yourself in harm's way, you know, in jeopardy of being caught, as you've already been exposed. So that's one level of exposure. It's only a matter of time before it's something like legal, if it isn't already. I just realized my incense never kept burning. That's weird. So I don't know where I am on this message, for real. It was burning and then it stopped. All right, let's just get a couple more and I'm out of here, because I don't even know. This is right. I don't. Okay. King of Cups. Okay. Yet another masculine, finessed. I was doing so well. Let's put this one over here, because I'm gonna go straight across. There's again this presence of this spiritual delusion, or what do you call it? Seduction. This is the masculine energy here. and that's the King of Cups. But it's covering the feminine child. I really wonder, is this someone that was really hiding their gender? Oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it might have been. And the Queen of Wands is very seductive, very attractive, knows how to use her energy to allure, or just does so naturally, you know? But could it be that the true, oh, this is crazy. Because here's these kings over here, but here is, you know, like, it could have just been, I'll just keep it clean and say that it's just the drunkenness of this energy that didn't leave fast enough, and they were seduced by the power of this feminine in whatever way that got to be. That was their pitfall. That's their entanglement. That's where they became stuck and binded. We'll just keep it cute that way, right? Making money. Because I don't even know. What's that? Yeah, well, that makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. Here's the binding. Like, she was willing to attach herself and lead up. That's the leading to the slaughter here. With the Five of Pentacles, like alluring people into their demise. Because he followed her. As I said in the beginning, he became accomplice to the karma. He absorbed all of that energy because he refused to walk away when he had opportunities to, and when there was evidence that that was the best thing to do. And here it is, the King of Wands all the way over here. Maybe just given that she was never anywhere near a match for anyone, and there was really no intention for her to be. It was like she was given the girlfriend experience to some degree. I don't know if it's as far out as what I said, whereas like she was really chaste, you know, kind of abstaining or presenting herself to be celibate or something like that. I don't know. That feels far out, but the Ace of Swords is over there where I was picking up all of that energy, so I don't know. That's a mystery even. Oh Lord, it's too unbelievable even for me to be like, what? That's what's being exposed. The truth is coming to light. One more, Spirit. I know I'm gonna watch this later and hopefully I see like, oh, but right now I'm feeling like it's one of those where I'm like, what? I don't have many of them. I don't even think I've really had any of them, to be honest. Like once I watch it back, it always makes sense. Even when and usually the ones that are hard to really grasp while I'm in the channeling are the ones that I'm like, oh, later. But this one, I'm like, come on. And Spirit is like, I done gave you the daggone Ace of Swords, the Sun card, the High Priestess. What more do you want from me? What more freaking confirmation do you need? But I'm like, what? And the star. I feel like this is for me here. I'm supposed to be affirmed by this down here. Oh my gosh, this is weird. This is weird. And I still feel inclined to be like, all right, let me get one more here, because I'm like, huh? Oh. What? The Hierophant. Yeah, these are the energies that refuse their come to Jesus moment, their way out, their deliverance, ultimately a pure cup of salvation. And I'm saying all these religious terms because it's very it makes sense, particularly with the Hierophant and all that I've been talking about. And this cup coming from the heavens, this is like the Ace of Cups being offered. The true Ace of Cups from the divine. They took this impure, tainted, poisonous cup that looked like it was, like the, what do you call it? The fountain of youth, so to speak, or something, some elixir of sorts that was going to give them eternal life or the answer to all, like that type of energy. It was supposed to be something magical. And it ended up being something poisonous, deadly, as a matter of fact, at least deadly to the spirit. Because this is the outcome here with the Five of Pentacles. And it's also given that energy just continued to like soak into every aspect of their lives. Saturate is what the word I want to use. Saturate the essence of their lives. Everything became tainted. Some things that may not have even been connected to this association somehow became tainted, infected, ooh, with the Ace of Cups. And this would be healing. Oh man. Maybe there's a need for healing on account of what's been revealed, that this priestess, because she ain't high, she might be high, energetically speaking. There's another part, but she ain't high in frequency. Yeah, there might have been that could have been the offense as well. Because that came up in that reading too. Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Where the henchman that was coming up was infecting people with their wand, with spiritual and sexually transmitted diseases. Here's the King of Wands here, but it could also be that the origin, well, it makes a hell of a lot of sense, was her. She was the source of infection. Yeah, here's the cup here, the King of Wands, and now she got the wand. I'm sorry, the King of Cups and Queen of Wands, she got the wand. So there could have been like this demure act of, oh, you know, like I don't usually do this, like playing the whole divine damsel at first. Again, to make people feel like they were getting something special that nobody's ever had before, or not many men, you know, that type of energy, even if she wasn't really abstaining. But that was the allure as well. When come to find out, that cup been passed around all over the land. 8 of Cups in reverse. 5 of Pentacles, which is, and she's leading the way on this one, which is absolutely poor health in some ways. Passed around. That was probably her specialty as well. To infect the wand, to tank the cup for the purposes of seduction, to infect the wand, and that became, again, the sacrifice unto the darkness. But now, everybody ain't drinking of that cup. The secret is out. It's been exposed. Like, people are on notice, like, don't fuck with that, man. You never make it out alive if you do. That's the exposure. Like, what she really giving, you know, like, don't do it. And so it's harder to come by now. The jig is up. Nobody's buying the act. Literally, nobody's buying the act. And therefore, the debt is just deepening and darkening with this demonic force, or will be, which is going to incite there to have to be more energy, invested into eliminating that debt or fulfilling that debt, which will be virtually impossible in the end, because one way or another she will have eliminated herself as the karma of all of this plays out ultimately. And either she will have to succumb to true healing, which would be a miracle in itself. That would be miracle energy over here for some. And I almost said that earlier too when I first saw the High Priestess. And I stopped, if you remember, when it first came out. I was going to say, well, maybe somebody is really, you know, trying to turn over a new leaf, be different, heal, you know, like step away from whatever. But I don't feel like that's going to happen. It would be a miracle if it did, but it's not going to happen through willing repentance. It'll be a matter of having no other choice, like having exhausted all possibilities of survival and security, and now it's like, you better, or you're going to be gone. And hell, somebody still might not learn their lesson from that. They just might become eternally possessed. Look, the devil with his hand up, just waiting to, like, yeah, come on in, come on over, just to be eternally possessed by that entity that just wants to devour it anyway. It could be that, but there's always the hope that it could be the healing and the deliverance and the repentance to just change your mind, change from your wicked ways that you realize are really only just hurting yourself, because they are, you know, like she's her first victim. Excuse me. And to finally accept that a new way of life, it would be a miracle, but it's not impossible. So all things are possible with God. So yeah, I feel like in the meantime, these masculines are seeking their vengeance, but they may be cut short as well, from really connecting the way that they want to, because everybody has to take accountability and responsibility for their own choices. And it seems to me, by way of this message, that there were signs, there were signals to walk away, to disconnect, and they were ignored. So now they also have a renewed invitation to come to Jesus. You know how I mean that, generally speaking, but just to answer to the supreme nature of themselves, to heal that lower frequency, not to condemn it per se, but to really get to the point of acceptance and understanding as to why it overpowered or possessed the natural being in the first place. And then having that truth and clarity is where the healing begins. When you know why you do a thing, where the root and the source comes from, then you can make more, what do we call it? More, what's the term? When you make more informed decisions, about how you want to proceed from that point. Sober-mindedly, clear-heartedly, clear-consciously, just knowing why it is, even without killing yourself in the process, like bashing yourself and all that terrible stuff, the shame and guilt that you project unto yourself. It's better to understand where yourself is coming from than it is to condemn yourself, because that's not the way to healing. That's right back into the clutches of the darkness from whence you came. That's how energies stay possessed. But to be released, to understand the nature of your being, and to aspire to some elevated frequency of expression, there's hope there. There is. I really want to leave it on a high note, because otherwise I know this was a bit of a doozy. So if people can really get through the muck and the mire to that point of revelation, then, like I said, all things are possible with God. So, yeah. And it would be a hell of a testimony, wouldn't it, Ace of Swords? For someone to go from some very dark and low place in life to seeing the sun, to being the star, to really be a mouthpiece or an example of repentance and redemption. Hell yeah. Now that's a freaking Cinderella story, if I ever heard one. So anyway, we shall see how it all plays out, or maybe we won't. I don't know. But either way, this is what it is today. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And, I'll talk to you tomorrow in any event. And until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.